Money day, guys and girls. Welcome back to another episode. You're now tuned in and learning with Vel. I want to say, guys, this episode we are going to dive straight into what's happening online right now, specifically across Twitter with Elon Musk and Donald Trump. We are going to join in on the feud. We're going to sit on the sidelines with our popcorn and we are going to analyze the markets and understand how we, normal, everyday, average Joes, can take advantage of the things that's taking place, which we can't control. Now, of course, if you've got this far in the video, it means you guys understand by the thumbnail alone that this is going to help you understand the global and also macroeconomic factors that take place on a daily basis, guys, that also impact the markets. So we're not just going to be understanding what's happening here with Donald Trump and Elon Musk, but actually we can understand by even today understanding the president of the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde, with her talks about reducing inflation, with them reducing their interest rate, with their discussion that they had their press conference, how that has an impact on their currency, which of course results the markets. So we are going to be covering quite a few things, but we are going to get right in. So with no further ado, if you haven't already, smash that fucking like button. If you haven't already, subscribe. You know the vibes, it's lit side. Let's get into this. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is go back to seeing where this first started from. Now, I actually tried to find some tweets from Trump, but I can't seem to find them, so I don't know if he's deleted them. But what we can do is we can go back to pretty much where the crux of this feud has started from, and that's simply because, long story short, guys, Elon Musk, of course, as everyone knows, owns the largest AI electric vehicle based company in the world, right? He owns the largest AI based company in the world. Even though we may not have seen all of his AI prototypes, all of his AI business models that's probably set to roll out in the near coming future, he owns the largest AI company in the world. Please do not forget that. Some of you may have seen the AI robots. Well, what we haven't seen is the self-driving cars yet, the AI taxi robots. These Tesla robots will all be released in the near future. Hopefully it's not in my lifetime, but the way I was looking, it will definitely be. And what he's spoken about here, of course, once he joined Trump's administration, they wanted to pretty much lower the US dollar deficit, right? So you can see here they have the big ugly bill will increase the deficit to $2.5 trillion. Let's just have a listen to what he says.
Yeah, I mean, really, I just don't want America to go bankrupt.
So it's a call to action.
Okay, him saying he don't want America to go bankrupt. That's some real shit, but who knows? Let's start from the beginning.
I think that we've got this enormous federal budget deficit, and it's a $2 trillion deficit. It keeps growing. Our interest payments are higher than our Defense Department budget.
Now, that's the biggest problem here, okay? Interest payments are bigger than the defense budget. That is the biggest problem that you have. But in the history of presidents that's come and gone, there hasn't really been anyone who's worked and correct me if I'm wrong, let me know in the comment section, but to my information that I've gone through and studied, there hasn't really been a president who has been able to reduce the deficit, okay, substantially. They might take 2 steps back to end up putting 5 steps forward. You know, they take 2 trillion off, or they take 200 billion off, for example, to end up putting on 700 billion down the line. You're just taking 2 steps back to end up pushing 5 steps. You're taking 2 steps forward, to end up taking 5 steps backwards. It's kind of late over here in Dubai, so you'll have to excuse me.
That's I think was the real wake-up call for me, was looking at seeing that the interest payments on national debt exceeded the Defense Department budget, and that was only growing over time, which meant if we didn't do something about this, then there won't be any money for anything. We'll just be servicing debt.
And you know how to read an income statement, and you know how to read a balance sheet. You've had some business experience. I'm kidding, but
yeah,
you know about this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, really, I just don't want America to go bankrupt.
So it's a call to action. You're hearing a call to action.
Yeah.
You giving up your other stuff? I mean, how are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty.
Look at this guy. Difficulty, my ass. This guy is a very smug person. Now, look, all of these elites or all these high net worth individuals, especially when they're in a political seat, a political point of power, okay, they have mules. They have people working for them, trading on their behalf, people that won't be connected to them. So I don't think for one moment that he's had to, sacrifice making money to be in this political position to want to help people. That's not really how these guys work. Putin is a classic example. The reason why they froze, what was his name? Roman Abramovich, the ex-Chelsea owner. The reason why they froze his assets is because they believe that he was in cahoots with Vladimir Putin. Granted, these guys was friends, but what I'm trying to show you here is what happens is world leaders like Putin, for example, may give X amount of billions to his fellow countrymen, okay, and they'll go into different countries and they will invest. They will invest into different businesses. And then when they receive the profits from that business, they eventually push that profit back to the country. So it's in support of the country, a bit like what you see happening with America, how you've got Starbucks, you've got Foot Locker, you've got Adidas, you've got Nike, you've got Apple, you've got so much different, high-end businesses, Netflix, Zoom, for example. You've got some YouTube, right? You've got so many different Google. I think I said it already. You've got so many different businesses that end up pooling a lot of capital, okay, revenue, which they will extract from foreign countries, okay, and they push that back into the American dollar. That is what keeps the American dollar strong. It's not because their economy is strong. Meanwhile, they've had riots. Okay, I don't know why I'm pointing over there, but they've had riots taking place in America. They had the whole thing with Black Lives Matter and George Floyd. They had all these things taking place. Meanwhile, the American dollar wasn't really tanking. And that's because they have a lot of international backing, a lot of international firepower, which throughout lockdown, for example, America was probably one of the only top dogs that was able to make a huge amount of revenue because they had so much global businesses bringing back in the dollars. So what what Musk is really saying here is he's had a look at the numbers, and the numbers are looking like, hey, the interest on the debt that we're paying is more, okay, it's more than our defense systems. Now, of course, the budget for their defense system is what keeps them safe, right? And if you don't know, which I'm sure you guys should, but if you don't, then of course, a nation like America, how they've pledged power over the past, century, you could say, is because they extort, they plunder, they loot other countries for their resources, and they use those, right? They use those for power to make trades with different countries. So because they're looting all of these different resources, right, they have the power to pay for their army. If they don't have these resources to exchange and do business, then how the hell are they going to pay for their army? How are they going to pay for their army? How are they going to pay to be in tight relationships with all these countries and companies and own them and these people be ready for them to, jump when they say how high? None of that happens without any money. So, as far as I'm concerned, looting Africa will always go on as long as, you've got the evil, wicked West people in the high towers, in countries like America, because they need to extract those resources in exchange to leverage that, to use it to purchase, or not even to purchase, but in exchange of being able to finance their wars, which of course leads to their armies.
Yeah, I mean...
But there's no turning back, you're saying.
This guy's a clown, man. Let's get off the Elon Musk show. Now, that's how it started, right? This was a video which was released quite a while back, which I guess you can see here. Elon Musk, we have a $2 trillion deficit. It keeps growing. Our interest payments are higher than our defense department budget, which of course is very, very alarming, okay? But what we can see over here, which is also, again, very funny, and it just kind of shows you guys that no matter who's in power, they're all on the same side. They're all playing the same game, okay? All of these messages here pretty much show you back from 2011, as far back as 2011. We're going back over a full 14 years, guys. 14 years ago, Donald Trump was pretty much screaming about the fact that we could use the balanced budget amendment. Politicians, I just made 16K, and that is what I call a money day. If you want to be able to shout money day too, then Star Trader is the app for you. Star Trader will be giving you a 70% credit bonus, guys, when you deposit over $1,000. To get the deposit bonus, all you simply have to do is scan the QR code, which you can see somewhere on the screen, or click the link in the bio below. Once you've done that, Star Trader offers you thousands of different instruments to be able to trade. Of course, a copy trading app, which means you guys can find me on there and copy my trades too, so that you guys can be screaming money day in blue. Don't have the will to cut spending. He basically spoke about how, I'll read out a couple of the tweets. We need a balanced budget amendment because Congress has no fiscal discipline. I cannot believe the Republicans are extending the debt ceiling. I am a Republican and I am embarrassed. Ding dong. He's doing the exact same thing that what he said he couldn't believe was happening over 12 years ago, right? Now, the Republicans he put here in 2012 should not give Barack Obama the authority to raise the debt another $1.2 trillion. This guy was talking about the same things that he's doing right now. He said Barack Obama is bankrupting the country. His budget adds another $4.4 trillion to the debt, putting us over $20 trillion in debt by 2016. That is crazy, okay? That is absolutely crazy. Now, just to read out one more. No member of Congress should be eligible for re-election if our country's budget is not balanced. Deficits not allowed. Now, the reason why this post has even come to light on Twitter is because what people are saying is, hey, Donald Trump came out saying all these things and look what he's doing. So he's a hypocrite, right? Scary. Obama and the Democrat Senate have accrued over $5 trillion worth of debt without passing the budget in the last 3 years. And 4 more years of this? It's crazy, wallah. That's what he's basically saying. But of course, you know, this is politics. This is business. This is showbiz. These guys are going to get into the White House. And in order to get in the White House, they're going to pretend to make promises that they very well know they have no intentions of keeping. And of course, once they get in that position, it's going to, of course, the goalpost is going to move. And that's what we're seeing happening now, which is the reason why posts like this are, of course, coming to light. The insane thing about this whole situation, this whole fallout, what we're seeing here is we can even go back over to Elon Musk, right? Musk is now saying things like, I always knew, okay, let's go back to Elon. Oh, no, sorry. Let's just go back. Here we are. Cool. Musk is saying that, you know, without him, Trump never would have won. The Trump tariffs will cause a recession in the second half of this year. He's saying that, look, Trump's already pushing the bracket down, okay? He's also come around and he said it's time to drop the really big bomb, okay? Donald Trump, the President Donald Trump of the United States is in the Epstein files, and that is the real reason why they have not made it public. Now, he said, mark this post for future reference because the truth will come out. Now, you know, it's crazy that he's saying these things, right? Because couple of weeks ago, these guys was all, you know, they were batty and bench. These guys are all buddy. Now it's all bloods and gory, right? It's all gory and bloods and fury. So you can see here, Trump put the easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions. You know, Trump likes to say billions and billions. Billions and billions of dollars is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. I was always surprised that Biden didn't do it. Now, you could say Trump's putting on a show, okay? But pretty much Trump's spoken about, you know, cutting off the electronic vehicle mandate. And you can see here it says, Elon has never asked me for a thing. I mean, I got rid of the EV mandate, but he's never asked me for a thing. I think that's an amazing attribute. Even Elon is a patriot. We want to thank you very much for the job you're doing. Now,
he has never asked me for a thing. He could have. I always say, I wonder if he's ever going to ask me for something.
We don't know what these guys have been talking about behind closed doors. We don't know what discussions these guys have had, okay? We just don't know what he's been promised. But what we do know right now is based off of this, okay, pretty much Elon Musk is coming out and saying, hey, Donald Trump is a liar. Such an obvious lie. So sad. Elon was wearing thin. I asked him to leave. I took away his electronic vehicle mandate that forced everyone to buy electronic cars that nobody else wanted, that he knew for months I was going to do, and he just went crazy. Now, whether this is true or this isn't true, Tesla is the biggest electronic vehicle company in the world. They're the biggest AI company in the world. I'm not sure about the EV space. I know there's some rivals, but they're the biggest. They're the biggest, and they're probably going to go over $2,600 a share. Remember, I told you guys that. Now, I don't want to spend too much time going over the Twitter beef, but what we can see here is Elon's coming out and saying, yo, my man's been getting busy with Epstein. That's the real reason why that ain't getting released. So he's making this into a show, okay? You can see here Trump with Elon inside a party here. You can see Trump's in the Elon household. Prince Andrew was also there. You know, this video ain't new. We've seen this. This goes back to as far as 1992, right? But we know that, you know, when you guys get to these certain levels of wealth, you start moving in these circles, which is the reason why we're seeing things happening with Diddy, right? Because they're obviously inside some circles, which is pretty much, you know, bad circles. It's dark energy. It's dark. It's a lot of dark shit happening, right? Excuse the French. So to conclude all of this, okay, this post here was pretty cool, and it said, if Tom kills Jerry, the show is over. Okay, the same reason the other party never fixes anything when they're in power. And this acronym is really good because what it kind of resembles is the fact that when you watch Tom and Jerry, okay, Tom never catches Jerry. He comes close, but not close enough. And that's how the show continues to go on and on and on. And that's very simply in one picture describing exactly what we're seeing. It's not good for business, for America, for the Republicans for the Republicans and the Congress to go back and forth. The Republicans and the Democrats, excuse me. It's not good for business for one to be a victor and for one to be the victor and for one to lose out. It's not good for business in their eyes, right? The show must keep going, and it only keeps going by them creating more and more fuckery. It's as simple as that, okay? Now, I just made 16K, and that is what I call a money day. If you want to be able to shout money day too, then Star Trader is the app for you. Star Trader will be giving you a 70% credit bonus, guys, when you deposit over $1,000. To get the deposit bonus, all you simply have to do is scan the QR code, which you can see somewhere on the screen, or click the link in the bio below. Once you've done that, Star Trader offers you thousands of different instruments to be able to trade. Of course, a copy trading app, which means you guys can find me on there and copy my trades too, so that you guys can be screaming money day in blue. We've gone over these. What I wanted to do is show you guys the price of Tesla, because that's the next thing you guys are probably wondering, well, Vel, what's happened to Tesla? Well, just today, since Elon came out saying all of these type of stuff, Tesla's dropped 15%, okay? Tesla's dropped 15%. Before the close, it's currently down 14% for the day. So it's kind of making a slow recovery. It's still lower than where price closed. Price closed at minus 12%. And right now, post in the market close right now is 14%. So it's to be expected that price can continue to come lower, okay? Of course, Trump's got, you know, Trump's the president of the United States. He's going to have some powerful players that can help influence the market's directions. He can come out saying certain things, as we've seen, and he can really push the market, and he can really push people into either being a supporter or a hater for Elon Musk. But I don't really want to get too caught up in the, you know, the soap opera and what's going on, because if I'm honest with you guys, I think it's a huge distraction to the real truth on what's happening. I don't know what the real truth is, but I know it's a huge distraction. And when we're having a look at Tesla, interestingly enough, right, when we're having a look at Tesla, before this price action happened, this was something that I mentioned on one of my previous videos. I think it was a Market Monday episode, where I pretty much expected us to consolidate around this level before us pushing higher. Now you can see here the $251 mark. That was the Discord entry. Okay, that was back here last year in November. We managed to get in, and price, you know, kind of pushed up. We got over double the money. It was just under 100% returns. But it was an amazing growth. It was an amazing flip. Okay. We managed to scale out. Now price has come back down. If price comes back down to as low as $228, I definitely would be encouraging you guys to be buying. You guys should already be dollar cost averaging into Elon Musk Tesla. But if you're not and you're waiting for lower prices, hey, I definitely see us being able to come down as low as 221 inside of this zone, and maybe, just maybe, we get something happening like this where we push even lower and we come down into this zone here, which is going to push us around the $167 mark. We don't know how far this feud is going to go and how much it's going to impact Tesla. It's impacted Tesla within a day of minus 15%. Who knows? Tesla could drop 50%, 60%. I mean, if Tesla drops 100%, you better sell your mom, dad, house, cat, and dog to get involved in the stock, guys, because I want to make it very clear for you guys to understand this. Tesla is the biggest AI company in the world. Now, I just recently rewatched this TV show called Westworld. If you guys have seen Westworld, comment in the section below. Let me know if you guys have seen it, what you guys think of it, because I watched it years ago, right, when you could say all of this was never really relevant. AI was never really relevant. There was no ChatGPT back then when Westworld came out, and there was no DeepSeek. There was no real AI agenda being pushed as hard as it's being pushed now. And when I watched Westworld, when I rewatched it, because I'm currently on the last season right now, but just rewatching it, I've been able to correlate so many things that they wrote and they put on a film or television show for us to watch 3-4 years ago, 5 years ago in some cases, that I'm seeing in today. Okay, I'm seeing today things that I saw in a TV show that was written 7-8 years ago. I think the first season came out in 2018. So I'm saying this for you guys to understand that the agenda for AI to advance is definitely real. This is not a conspiracy. This is not a hunch. This is real. Okay, if you look at the growth in the AI sector over the past 6 months, let alone 6 years. Okay, I'm fortunate enough to grow up in an era where I grew up being able to see a brick phone. Some of you new school people don't even know what a brick phone is. You think I'm talking about an actual brick. Okay, phones used to be huge, the size of a brick. Then we went to Nokia's, 3310s. We went to Samsungs. We went to Sony Ericssons. Not Samsungs. We went to Sony Ericssons. We went to Motorola's, right? And at some point, we managed to get ourselves over to iPhones. The evolution of technology has advanced so quickly that it's impossible for you to deny that a company that has the biggest stake in the AI space is going to do well. It's impossible for you to deny that the biggest company in the AI space will do well. And if we believe it to do well, what does that mean? Well, that means all-time highs, guys. That means we have to expect price to push well above the previous high of 482. We need to, I'm pretty sure it went up to 500. Where was it? Here we are. Yeah. Okay, went up to 488. So we definitely want to be, let's just make sure this is at the high. Where was it? Okay, cool. Yeah, 489, 488, that's cool. We can call it there. But we want to be expecting price to push up above the 490 handle. I would expect Tesla to push up to as high as $2,000+. If I'm really, really honest with you guys, when I'm looking at Tesla, if I go on a blank canvas here, okay, Tesla is just loading up. Okay, it had its consolidation period. It's pushed up, it's made a high, it's come down, it's played into these candles. It's played into this area, filling the imbalance. I believe Tesla will be pushing up. I'm not giving you guys advice to say you should be buying it right now, but I'm saying dollar cost averaging into a stock is never going to be a problem. Of course, there will be a moment in the markets where everything will crash. That's natural. That's what happens all the time. But for a company that is the biggest owner in the AI space, and they haven't even shown you their AI catalog. They've got Tesla robots. I've seen a Tesla robot dancing. I don't think you guys are ready for this, okay? I'm going to show you guys this quickly. YouTube, Tesla robot dancing. Okay, I've seen a Tesla robot dancing. For goodness sakes.
Hello? I have no one. Hello? Hello?
They've even put some house music behind it.
Tesla just released a near 1...
The robot is shuffling. Some of you can't even shuffle like that. Some of you can't even shuffle like that in the clubs. The robot is shuffling. It's doing ballerina. The robot's doing some pantomime shit. But look, man, if this is what a robot is doing now, I don't know what type of moves that is, but he's feeling the beat. If this is what they're doing now, guys, you have to understand. Imagine when they put a skin on that. Imagine when they put a skin. He's trying to Millie rock. Look at, he's doing a Dougie. They be like, Small, what? Can you teach me how to Dougie? You know why? Because I'm a bitch that love me. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Imagine in the near future, guys. Yeah? Imagine in the near future when they put a skin on that. They put an actual skin. And you how could you tell the difference? Some of you moving stiff like that in the clubs, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So, going back over to the technical side of things, the stock market today, it dropped. Okay, it dropped massively. We can have a look at the stock market. We can have a look at the NASDAQ to see where it's currently at right now. If we go on the daily, it looks like we could get a continuation pushing down. But naturally, the markets were going to respond because Elon Musk came out and said that. And, you know, Donald Trump probably said, hey, sink this ship. Sink everything now, yeah? So we can see here only a 2% drop on the NASDAQ, which isn't, you know, that bad. If we look at US 30, let's look at the S&P 500. S&P 500 from yesterday's candle, what was that? Around a 2%, 1.5% drop, okay? So nothing crazy on the stock market, but maybe that candle has now shown us what the rest of the week is looking at. And, you know, tomorrow's Friday, NFP, maybe we get a continuation to the downside. If we do get lower prices, then, hey, we can definitely expect to see more bearish action next week because, of course, you know, what's happening right now in the stock market is that there is no real optimism. There's no real optimism on what's happening. Of course, rates are being reduced. Elon Musk is coming out now and being a whistleblower. I don't see why investors are going to turn around and be buying. Of course, Elon Musk is whistleblowing. That in itself is now making people think, well, what else do we not know? So it could leave the investors right now within the markets to be on the sidelines, okay? And for us, there isn't really any opportunities to get involved in either buying or selling. I'm actually on the sidelines. Now, what we had today is we had a beautiful, beautiful trade with Bitcoin. I just made 16K, and that is what I call a money day. If you want to be able to shout money day too, then Star Trader is the app for you. Star Trader will be giving you a 70% credit bonus, guys, when you deposit over $1,000 US. To get the deposit bonus, all you simply have to do is scan the QR code, which you can see somewhere on the screen, or click the link in the bio below. Once you've done that, Star Trader offers you thousands of different instruments to be able to trade. Of course, a copy trading app, which means you guys can find me on there and copy my trades too, so that you guys can be screaming money day in blue. This trade is still going. We can show you guys here. This trade here is still dumping. Christ almighty, this trade here has been going off. Now look, we've been able to catch so far over 4,700 pips on this one trade. Some of you might be thinking, Vel, it's too good to be true, brother. Doesn't make sense. Sounds great, but I don't believe you. Well, you guys don't have to believe. You don't have to believe. What you guys have to do is you have to look and see exactly what was called out. So you can see here, this post originally was from the entry that we had, and the target that we had was over 2,600 pips for a final TP smashed. I gave out the trade for Bitcoin as well as for gold. Gold, we got into TP1 smashed and 2, and Bitcoin, you know, was a hell of a move, and it's still coming down now. Okay, but I really want to shed some light on the DXY. Okay, shout out to the members in the Discord community. Today there was a lot of discussions about what we think could potentially happen with the dollar. You know, with there being a 4-hour order block inside of this area right now, if price could actually push up and work some magic from it. Personally, I'm looking at the dollar like this. Hey, since the year started, we've been bearish. Since the year started, we have been bearish. Since Donald Trump came into the seat, into the White House, we've been bearish. I'm not looking at this to be anything more than what I see it as. There's no optimism for me. I'm only going off of what I see. I'm not trying to foresee anything. I know a lot of you trade majors, and because you see some potential opportunities with the majors, you're thinking that, you know, that would result of, well, you would need the dollar to do the opposite. You would need the dollar to push up in order to get a short on the majors. But when I look at the majors, guys, when I look at GU, for example, I'm looking at this like, hey, GU's already come down from its all-time low. Okay, after the all-time low, when price was pushing up, we had King Charles appointed. Once King Charles stepped into Buckingham Palace, the economy was going to be perceived to be stronger because it had a sense of direction. So if I bought, okay, GU, if I bought into the pound as low as 129, 123, you know, it's not 123, so 129, 128, or at its all-time low, okay, at one on the head, $1 on the head, £1 on the head, 106, 105, 110. If I bought at these levels, would I be looking to sell right now? My answer is no. My answer is no. I would actually be looking to hold this until we raid the highs that we previously dropped from, at least a minimum of 140, guys. So I'm not really a GU trader because there's too much politics taking place that actually affects the strength and the weakness of the dollar. So I tend to stay on the sidelines when it comes to GU. But I definitely do personally see this as a long-term long. I don't see this as a short-term drop down. I see this as a long-term long. So if you guys are, you know, to all my position traders out there, I definitely see this taking the highs of 140. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think about GU, whether you trade Euro USD, AUD USD, whatever you trade, let me know what you guys think. And maybe I can also cover that on the next episode for you guys as well. But what I wanted to do was to speak to you guys about an article that I got here. And the article spoke about pretty much the feud between Trump and Tesla. Just to read the article, because there's a few key aspects to take from it, which is the fact that there was also a US-China development today, okay? Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping held a 90-minute phone call focused on trade, particularly addressing rare earth exports. Now, both leaders agreed to resume trade negotiations with US officials Scott Bessent, Howard Lutnick, and Jameson Greer set to meet their Chinese counterparts. Now, the call described by Trump as a very good call led to mutual invitations for state visits. The president also noted that the discussion was focused exclusively on trade, nothing to do with, you know, Russia, Ukraine, or Iran, is what he said. But what is interesting, and when we go back over to the dollar here, okay, what is interesting is the fact that we can see here, investors have been digesting a series of labor market data releases this week, okay? Now, the number of Americans filing for first-time unemployment benefits increased last week. That is not good for the US dollar. Data released earlier Thursday showed with seasonally adjusted US jobless claims climbing to 247,000 unemployed people in the week ended on the 31st of May. Now, this represented an increase from the revised 239,000 people in the prior week and above the expected 236,000 people. So that means, okay, since last week, okay, you've now got an extra 8,000 people that are unemployed. Now, I saw on Bloomberg last week, which is also very important for you guys to be watching things like Bloomberg, okay? Bloomberg, I saw Microsoft just released. Microsoft sacked, I believe it was 20,000 staff members, okay? Microsoft sacked 20,000 staff members, and Volkswagen also sacked, I think it was 3,000 members. So collectively, that's 23,000 people just unemployed in the space of a couple of days. This is really important because you have to understand, guys, for companies to be laying off thousands of people in a single swoop, this is because they have an alternative that is working for them. And this is the reason why we have to get ahead by understanding how business or economics or finance can be a solution to the forever growing problem right now, which is having another source of income. Now, we've got NFP taking place tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow's Friday, so it's to be expected that, of course, the markets could be slower until the results get released. Once they get released, I'm banking on a weaker dollar. Like I said, since Trump has been in the seat in the White House, I haven't seen anything positive about the dollar for me to be ranting and raving about the dollar, pushing up and taking out the highs. Maybe we get a liquidity grab, a whipsaw, price whips up, then it whips back down. But, I'm not looking at that thinking, yep, it's time to buy or it's time to back the dollar. I'm not looking at no order block thinking anything about the dollar because it's bearish. I'm looking at the dollar for what it is and not for what it isn't. Okay. Now, the European Central Bank slashed interest rates at its policy meeting earlier Thursday, which is, of course, today, lowering borrowing costs for the eighth time. For the eighth time, they've lowered borrowing costs since last June as the euro area economy faces a waning inflation, but persistent uncertainty around the impact of global trade tensions continue to rise. So just to break that down into a summary for you guys, President Lagarde spoke today, Christine Lagarde, and she pretty much said that they're going to lower the borrowing cost. They also lowered the interest rate. They cut it by 0.25 basis points. It's to be expected that interest rates globally are going to continue to decrease, but this is also the reason why currencies shouldn't really be coming stronger. So it's going to be very interesting right now to see the transition, how we actually transition into digital currencies, what needs to happen in the world in order for these things to become relevant. It's going to be interesting. Okay, we're in for a bumpy ride. Okay, the ex-owner of Google said that by 2037 we'll be hiding from robots. This is what he said, not me, the ex-owner of Google. So it's very clear that we are in for a very bumpy ride, and we don't actually know. We don't probably have a clue what's going on, or we only probably have a small fraction of an idea as to what's going on, and the rest we probably couldn't even fathom. So why I'm even spreading this information with you guys is because I'm going to be keeping you guys informed, up to date, as and when the news comes out, so that you guys can stay ahead of the curve. If you're not already inside the Discord, guys, that is exactly where you need to be. It's a free community. You guys can simply get access, by joining. To join, all you got to do is click the link in the bio. You guys can get access to a community that's going to provide you with other traders' information, other traders looking at different analysis. As you can see here, put on a chart, you can see what other traders are looking at, and you can see, of course, maybe if your analysis is weighing up with other members. But it's important to be able to be inside of a community of proven successful traders. I'm not just telling you about jumping in a community full of people, buying with the trend and selling with the trend. I'm talking about people that I can vouch for, people that I've mentored, people that I know are making 5 figures a month. That's the type of community you guys would be joining. All you simply have to do is follow the instructions by clicking the link in the clicking the link in the bio. And it's as simple as that, guys. I'm sure you guys have probably heard enough of me, but I want to give you guys a last message that can help you guys understand why this is important. Just because you're on the path to destruction, or just because you may think you're on the path to destruction, do not believe that destruction is destined for you. It's only your ego. If you believe you're on a destructive path right now, that's because your ego has you feeling like that. Losses, wins, they're part of the game. We call that snakes and ladder, okay? There is no reason for you guys to ever doubt yourself when at the end of the day, whenever you're working, you can make mistakes. Whenever you're learning, you can also make mistakes. I'm learning to speak a new language. Sometimes I pronounce words wrong. What does that mean? I should give up? It means I'm just learning. So please, guys, don't confuse your losses for don't confuse your losses for lessons, and also put yourself in a position where you can see a cup half full than half empty. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate the time you've given. Let me know in the comment section what pairs you guys are trading, what your take on Donald Trump is.